So, yeah, there's been another mass shooting. Um, Not something I like to talk about, because it's always a tragedy when it happens. But for those of you who have watched my channel for a while, you know that I live in DFW. And so Allen is not that far from me. In fact, I've been to the Allen Outlet Mall before. Um, I wasn't anywhere close to there today, but I've been there before. Um, and so this kind of hits close to home, not just because I've been there, but also because it's close and because, it happened in my state. And while I don't like to politicize these things, the fact of the matter is we live in a world where it's basically immediately politicized. I mean, if you've been on Twitter in the last, I don't know, 4 hours, by the time this video probably hits you guys, um, in the morning, I'm posting it at night, but you probably won't see it till the morning. By the time it hits you, you're gonna probably, have heard all about it or seen all of the stuff on Twitter. But for those of you who haven't seen it, we're going to go over basically everything that we know as of about 1 a.m. On, was it May 7th? Um, so before we jump into that and all the stuff that I could find, I want to preface this by saying that if you're watching this and you feel the need to express yourself through anger or rage or violence, you need to seek help because innocent people do not deserve to pay the price for whatever problems you have going on in your own life, because that's what it comes down to. Is it's not the gun, it's the person. People make choices to do terrible things, and this is one of those things. So we're gonna start out with the news story from CNN. They're not really the most trusted name in news, but for the purposes of reading the story, theirs is the most up to date story that I could find this late at night. So they're the one that I'm going with. Okay. Um, so this one says that 8 people were killed and at least 7 were wounded. There are other stories that are saying 9 were killed because those stories are including the shooter. As of right now, 8 innocent people have been killed and 7 hurt. Now, that number may change as people are, given surgeries and people who are in the ICU might end up dying. I don't know. I'll probably make an updated video in the morning, if I find out anything else. Um, but already right there, just based on that number, you can see the kind of political BS that's being played. Is they're inflating the number by including the shooter as a victim, basically. They are the perpetrator, they are not a victim, okay? So, you know, let's just see. So, we're going to take a moment, we're going to read this part of this, and then we're going to go to some of the videos, and I'm going to point out some things that I've noticed that seem to be common between different shootings, common threads, and some things maybe to look out for if you find yourself in one of these situations. 8 people were killed and at least 7 others injured when a gunman opened fire at an outlet mall near Dallas Saturday afternoon. Um, The gunman was killed by an Allen Police Department officer who was at the mall on an unrelated call. Investigators believe the shooter was acting alone. A photo obtained by CNN shows what appears to be the gunman laying on the ground after being shot with an AR-15 style rifle nearby. He is clad in black body armor and appears to have several extra magazines strapped to his chest. At least 9 people rushed to trauma facilities, 2 of whom have since died. Of the surviving victims, 3 were in critical condition and undergoing surgery, and 4 were stable as of Saturday night. A Dallas area medical group said it was treating victims as young as 5 years old, man. And forgive me if I'm reading a little slow or I'm stumbling over my words. It's like 2 in the morning when I'm recording this, so I'm kind of tired, but I felt it was important to put this out. Then it goes on to an interview of somebody. Police believe they have identified the vehicle of the deceased suspect, which was being examined by the bomb squad as a precaution. Yeah. Basically, this guy just gets out of his car and starts blasting. So before we take a look at some of the videos and an interview with one of the guys, I just want to preface that this guy went unchallenged by anybody with a concealed carry at all. The police had to stop this guy. This is Texas. Just about everybody carries a gun when they're legally allowed to. Of course, most malls in Texas have 30-06 and 30-07 signs. Or they have policies that outright don't allow weapons. The Allen Mall is one of those places. So if we go here to the Shoppers Code of Conduct, number 3 right here says no weapons. So in their policy, they say no weapons, which means no weapons of any kind. It's not just guns. It's no knives, no XYZ. Now, this in it of itself is not a legal sign, and I can't remember from the last time I was there whether or not they had a 30-06 or 30-07. I believe they had a 30-07, which is a no open carry sign. I don't recall if they had a no concealed carry sign. However, any law-abiding person who would go on their website to look up their policies would see the no weapons and assume I can't carry my gun. So, am I saying that that's the reason that he wasn't stopped? No. It could just be that somebody who had a concealed carry wasn't around the immediate area, or just didn't even think about it. Just their first instinct was to run away. Who knows? We don't really know. But is it possible that this no weapons policy affected somebody's ability to protect themselves? Yeah, it's a possibility. I also find it funny that, not funny, but a little too coincidental that a lot of these mass shootings tend to be massively publicized and focused in on whenever there's Democrats running the federal government, and right before massive gun legislation gets pushed one way or another. There was a couple bills for, I think one was just submitted yesterday or today for stand your ground laws, national stand your ground laws, and then something like this happens. Am I saying that there's a correlation? No. Am I saying that it's a conspiracy? No. I'm just saying, could it be? I don't know. You tell me. Now, I'm not here to be conspiratorial. I just want to get that out of the way. So now that we know that obviously they don't allow weapons, let's go on to the actual videos of the event. Now, I'm not going to show you the victims. I'm not going to show you anything graphic. The one video that I have that I think YouTube would consider graphic is blurred. So, it shouldn't be tagged by YouTube, but it probably will be anyway. So the first thing that we have here is the actual guy getting out of the car and just shooting people. Again, this is graphic. If you don't want to watch this part, skip ahead like a couple minutes or whatever. But I think it's important because it follows a similar pattern of like the Boston, the supermarket shooting, and I think the Christchurch shooting. I want to say the New Zealand one, in that the shooter stops their car in a awkward location and then gets out wearing body armor and a gun. And it follows a very similar pattern. So this is the video of that. You can see his car is just parked. He gets out. Nobody's really paying attention, and then just immediately starts opening fire. So, couple things here. One, something to kind of look out for if you're ever in a situation like this. I find that the last couple pre-planned mass shootings at a mall or a shopping center of some sort tend to follow a similar pattern where the shooter will pull up in their car. They don't park in a parking space. They go right up to the very front of the store and they just park the car in the middle of the street. So if you see a car that's just sitting there for a long time, parked, you should pay attention. Because that is something that has happened a lot. The second thing is, if they get out of that vehicle while it's parked, or if they start to get out of that vehicle, you should just get out of there. Even if it's not somebody with a gun, just being cautious and situationally aware, you gave yourself a couple extra seconds if it was. Because in the Boston shooting, the guy did the same thing. He pulled up right in front of the shopping center, parked his car, and sat in his front seat for 5-6 seconds, putting on gloves and getting his rifle before he got out of the car. And if anybody had been looking at his vehicle even a couple seconds, they could have seen into his car and seen that he was wearing tactical gear and like all that stuff. Okay, so that's one thing to look out for. Second thing is, at least two people could have run this guy over. Yeah, if you saw, there was a car that was passing by in front of him, it looked like, and they slowed down and basically stopped. And I don't know if he shot at that car or not, but they could have run him over. And the person with this dash cam who's backing up had a clear shot to him, could have run him over. Now, does that mean that you're gonna kill him and stop the massacre that's happening immediately? No, because you might just wound him, but it might give people enough time to get out of the way. And the other thing is, what if he had turned around and he's all the way back here? I mean, a rifle is a ranged weapon, right? So if you just ran him over with your car is a weapon. You can use that. And in this case, you would be 100% justified in doing so. A lot of people just have the flight response when it comes to stuff like this. So I can't really blame them. I'm just pointing out that there were other options that could be had to maybe help stop this. A gun is not the only tool that you can fight a bad guy with in a situation like this. You can use your car. I mean, there's not really much else that you can use besides a gun or a car, but you could run, sure, but that's not always going to work, you know. Anyway, guys, so that's how it started. Okay, so the second video here is of the shooter who has been taken out. It is blurred. I don't want to show um, the gore, so I picked the video that was blurred out for a reason. Um, but what I want you to see is how, like, the attire, because people who do these things tend to dress in similar fashions. They either are wearing all BDUs, or they're wearing like all black garb with like tactical gear, and they they obviously bought this stuff like off Amazon or whatever, because it's not even really good looking gear, to be honest. Like, so what?
Yeah, he's nice.
So you can see here, he's got like one, two, three, four. It's hard to see, but there's like 6 mags in this chest rig, and then the gun's over here on the ground, and you can see there's magazine in the gun. So he had at least 7 mags. I believe one of the news stories that I looked at said that he shot 60 plus rounds, which is like 2 or 3 mags, depending on how many of these mags held. But one important thing to note is that a magazine capacity ban would not have helped here. Because let's say he had 10 round mags. The amount of rounds that he shot is still the same. He just went through all 7 mags instead of like 3. So that the magazine capacity ban wouldn't really have done anything. I saw some other, you could see I was on Twitter. I was looking through a lot of the comments, and one of them was like, one of the Texas state reps apparently like championed the permitless carry bill, and he was giving a press conference, and people were like shitting on him and being like, "Oh, well, like permitless carry, this is what you get," and it's like, what did this have to do about permitless carry? If anything, it would have had to do with open carry, but even then, it doesn't make sense, because neither permitless carry nor open carry allowed this to happen. If open carry was illegal and you still had to get a permit, that wouldn't have changed anything. The guy just got out of his car and started shooting people. Like, that would not have changed a single thing about what happened. People are just obviously going out and blaming the gun just because. So also, if we go back to that, you'll see he doesn't even really have, like, it doesn't even look like a actual like tactical carrier. It looks like just one of those crappy Amazon vests that just holds mags, not even like a plate carrier or anything. So, you know, I'm glad, because, then obviously that would mean that he was easier to take down. So as of right now, it looks like he used an AR to do this. Obviously, people are going to start blaming the gun. Just talking about, I mean, I saw people, crapping on Texas and our gun laws and all that. And again, like, a good guy with a gun stopped him. People are like, oh, well, yeah, it was law enforcement. Okay, but it was still a good guy with a gun. The only difference is that instead of a civilian who had a legally carried concealed firearm, it was a police officer with, I would assume, a rifle. As of right now, the guy, you can't see it because the photo was blurred, but it looked like a white guy. But I've also heard that it was a Hispanic guy, which it could have been, because after you get shot, your blood kind of leaves your body, and you get lighter. So maybe it was a Latino guy, but he, after all the blood loss, he looked white. So we don't know. We're probably not going to know for a while. Um, they might have a press conference tomorrow where they, you know, release more information. I'll try to keep this updated if I can um, on what all comes across. They'll probably, you know, have a little better understanding of why he did it. There are obviously rumors going about, but nothing so far that I could find is confirmed. So, anyway, guys, like I said, don't I don't want to politicize it, but at this point, it's like you kind of have to. It's not about the guns; it's about the people. I'm willing to bet that after this investigation goes through, we're going to find out that this guy was on some sort of antidepressants or was going to therapy or has had multiple encounters with law enforcement before. A lot of the other shooters have those issues. So, it's probably going to be another case of like government incompetence when it comes to stopping these people. And if not, then it might be somebody who got the gun illegally, or we just don't know enough. We don't know very much at this point, other than it happened, people died, and the shooter is dead. Like that's about it. Like I said, I'll keep you guys updated if I can. So, with that being said, everybody should be giving their thoughts and prayers to the families and everybody that unfortunately lost their lives today, because it's an absolute tragedy. The world we live in right now is full of people who don't know who their neighbors are, don't care about the people around them, and it didn't used to be like this. I remember growing up that I could go outside and play with my friends and go down to my neighbor's house, and now I don't even really know who my neighbors are because nobody seems to be friendly. Nobody cares about anybody anymore. And that's a real fucking shame. And that type of shit is what leads to this stuff. People don't care about each other anymore. And we need to change that. So, I think one thing that we can take away from this is that mental health is a big, important thing, but being kind, respectful, and genuinely loving towards everybody, including your neighbors, really needs to make a comeback. So, anyway, guys, I guess that's it for today. If you guys want to stay informed, go ahead and like and subscribe this video and hit the notification bell so that way when I post an update to this, you guys will be the first ones to know. Anyway, guys, until next time, have a good night.